Cracking a smile or pulling a prank, there was no shortage of hijinks on the set of the Harry Potter films. No take was safe from the occasional giggle attack or prop failure. So let's look at the best of the best. The Binger knows you've been looking for yet another reason to go rewatch all the Harry Potter films. The entries we have in this video will change the way you see some scenes. Heck, it'll change the way you see the entire series. Trust us, you'll never look at one big bad villain the same way ever again. Bless Alan Rickman. He was in a class all to himself. Being the professional he is, you'd think silly pranks would be beneath him. On the contrary, he was more than happy to help bring some levity on set. In this case, levity means a fart machine. Yes, you heard that right. Rickman and Michael Gambon used a take during the third movie to goof off. Rickman got the crew to hide the fart machine in Radcliffe's sleeping bag during the Great Hall sleeping scene. As Gambon went through his monologue, the device would casually interrupt him. The best part is Gambon stayed in character, and so did Radcliffe. It wasn't until every other child on set couldn't hold it together that they broke too. So, how does this blooper make the movies better? Well, for starters, it changes the way you see that scene. You'll never watch it the same again. You'll just be thinking of Pooting Potter. Additionally, it really endears Rickman and Gambon to the viewer. Here are the adults on set showing the kids it's okay to have a laugh every once in a while. That's precious. Bras can be tricky. Ask any teenager. They're tricky to figure out when you first deal with one. Now, picture this. You're Daniel Radcliffe playing Harry Potter. Only, you're not Harry Potter. You're Fleur Delacour. You've got to take off a bra and change into some of Harry Potter's clothes. Turns out, this was a big challenge for him on set. To be fair, it wasn't Radcliffe's fault. He was shown how to take it off, and he even replicated Fleur's movements, so it seems like her. He simply got in his own head, and the bra was being troublesome. Regardless, it's funny watching him stand there in the middle of set telling David Yates the bra isn't coming off. The blooper shows the attention to detail these actors work with daily. It could have just been as easy to skip the scene and move on, but it was a chance to show the magic of the wizarding world. Think back to the first time you saw this moment on film. You really believe it was all those people turning into Harry Potter. It's trouble to get that magic just right. Pick a Ron Weasley scene. Any Ron Weasley scene, we guarantee you it took multiple takes to complete. How do we know this? Because Rupert Grint was notoriously bad at keeping it together on set. The guy couldn't stop grinning. But honestly, we love him for it. It got so bad that the crew had to find ways to get him to stop. Alan Rickman told him during the first movie to relax his face and think of nothing. It didn't work at all. Grint must have been thinking about Hans Gruber instead. Yates and company tried a different approach to keep the film on schedule. They pulled out red cards on anyone giggling too much during a scene. It was a soft way of reminding the actors they needed to be professional on set. One of our favorite parts of any Rupert giggle fit is the director's reactions. Every time, they need to remind him that something serious happened. It's hilarious hearing an off-screen voice shout, "Rupert, you just learned the snake might have killed a student. Don't smile at the end!" Chris Columbus has worked with plenty of child actors. His work on Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire is evidence enough of that fact. Still, even years of experience don't work in your favor all the time. Child actors are always tough to get genuine reactions out of, any time of the day. In the first movie, Columbus wanted a young Radcliffe to be shocked at the Goblin and Gringotts. He told actor Warwick Davis to help him out. Davis was supposed to shout his lines at the young child in hopes of making him jump. If the blooper proves anything, it's that Harry Potter isn't scared of no goblin. Davis did what he was told to, and Daniel Radcliffe, well, he simply laughed it off. Yeah, it's safe to say that the director was okay with taking a big L on that scene. Which is okay. The whole moment is fantastic enough that we didn't need the extra shock. It's fun to go back and watch them try though, and see how far the young actors have come since then. Watching Harry's Yule Ball scene is like watching Ricky Bobby do an interview for the first time. Dancing as a teenager is awkward, especially when all eyes are on you. The cringe is thick during Harry's nervous pacing around the dance floor. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it shows. Well, it turns out it was all a ruse. Harry Potter may not know how to dance, but the actor playing him does. It was absolute torture for Radcliffe to get this scene right. He needed to pretend to be bad at dancing and more than a bit awkward. Imagine trying to pretend you're bad at writing with your left hand when you're actually left-handed. That's what this was like for him. Radcliffe kept taking the lead too quickly or showing a bit too much confidence in his steps. Imagine if they decided to go with that idea instead. The entire scene changes and Harry is left feeling like he did well. It shows dedication to keep trying until you fail. That's a whole different accomplishment. Hagrid is one of a kind. In the books, he's a special friend to the trio of misfits that occupy the story. He's even more to them in the movies. The relationship is transformed into a full-fledged partnership. Hagrid is always getting Ron, Harry, and Hermione out of trouble, and vice versa. Seeing the way they look at each other just adds some additional spark we can't put our finger on. Getting chemistry like that on set is never easy. When it happens, it's like striking gold. From day one, the child actors took a liking to Robbie Coltrane. A big part of that was his demeanor on set. You can see in all of Hagrid's bloopers that Coltrane is the smile everyone needs on a long day. Props to the casting director, because he's everything we'd want Hagrid to be on and off of camera. After all, it's not easy being the main characters with lines galore and all the pressure. Coltrane was able to come in and take some weight off them. He reminded everyone why they go to work every day and helped bring calmness into every scene. Well, there was no shortage of great actors on the set of these movies. We've talked about so many during this video, but we've left out one of the best. Yes, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the excellent Maggie Smith, especially given her life off the screen and the challenges she overcame. Smith managed to come into work and get things done. She was the exact opposite of Rupert Grint. She hardly ever broke character and was known to keep a straight face in almost every take. That shows her losing it for a quick laugh. You'll never guess who causes it either. In Harry Potter, the exact opposite of Professor McGonagall is Professor Umbridge. The two battle constantly in Order of the Phoenix, and their belief systems are on opposite ends of the spectrum, which makes it shocking to think that Imelda Staunton as Dolores Umbridge was the one to break Maggie Smith. It's probably the first and only time a Umbridge line has ever made any smile or giggle. We've all heard the story. Chris Columbus tasked Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, and Rupert Grint with writing an essay about their characters. Each one of them responded to the homework precisely as their character would. People say it's classic Hermione for Watson to write such an extended essay. Well, boy, do we have a story for you. During the first film, Emma Watson was a dutiful actor determined to memorize all her lines. She was so dedicated to the task that she even managed to learn other characters' lines. Yep, Emma Watson knew Hermione Granger's lines and Ron Weasley's lines and Harry Potter's lines. She basically knew the whole script. It was impressive, but it led to some bloopers on set. See, as a nervous habit, Watson would mouth the words to the other characters' lines to make sure she hit her mark. They kept having to reshoot scenes because Watson was literally mouthing along with Radcliffe. It's honestly adorable when you consider it, and a total Hermione Granger move. So, we just spoke the praises of Emma Watson for a bit, but now it's time to admit she did have a weakness. At least, she got the Rupert curse for a hot second during the final film. It wasn't a consistent thing, but she got the giggles for a few scenes. One such moment was the tea scene with Mr. Lovegood. The constant slurping by the character was too much for poor Emma. She couldn't hold it together consistently, and Yates had to red card her for it. It was a shocking moment for all involved. Everyone thought for for sure Rupert would be the one to giggle at it, which we're sure he did at some point, but just not to the degree Emma did. Still, the two joins together in one big giggle fit that'll warm any viewer's heart. The big moment was upon them. Ron and Hermione were about to kiss for the first time. To get through the moment, both Grint and Watson laughed their way through it. It was the perfect example of why the relationship worked on screen. Well, we talked about the wonderful chemistry between Rupert Grint and Emma Watson, but we can't leave out Daniel Radcliffe. Most of the bloopers between Ron and Harry just involve Grint making Radcliffe crack. It's the scenes between Radcliffe and Watson that tend to be a bit more touching. Trust us, this entry will make you smile. There are tons of moments in the later movies where Hermione gets so frustrated that she lovingly smacks Harry. It's nothing serious, more like when Fred flicks Scooby on the nose. The only trouble is it's hard to hit softly on every take, something Daniel Radcliffe found out the hard way. Emma Watson would roll up the paper and smack him on the head quickly, except this time it was a bit too hard. Radcliffe commented on the toughness of the swinging character, and Watson, as Hermione, laughed and gave him a hug. It would have been nice to include this in the actual movie. It happened in multiple scenes. Anytime Hermione hits Harry, assume there's a take where Watson apologizes and hugs Radcliffe. It's sorta cute, actually. Well, hopefully you've got plenty of reasons to revisit the series. The Binger is always happy to accommodate. But let us know some of your favorite bloopers. Did you see Umbridge's blooper coming? As always, like and subscribe to show your support for the channel. There's always new videos daily.